two on, and welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 104 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from January 22nd, 1994, taped January 10th, 1994, at the Chilhowie High School in Chilhowie, Virginia. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, oh, I wonder if you're going to get this reference, Trae. It is the Myles Hawkins to my Jim Cornette. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
Okay, I remember the name, but I don't know who that is. Who's Miles Hawkins?
Okay. So, before we came on the air, I was going through the YouTubes, and there was a video from Jim Cornette talking about Jim Cornette talks about a letter from AEW wrestler, and I'm like, okay. Um, and it technically he's not lying, but I mean it's a little misleading because when you click on it, apparently Myles Hawkins, who did a job on either Dynamite or Collision a few weeks ago, teaming with Nick Camarado and Rhett Titus, losing to the Ops, was upset that Jim basically called him a nobody, and that was the point of the letter. He said it was Jim's gimmick that all he does is shit on modern wrestling. Why doesn't he tell him what he did well? And Jim and Brian had zero memory of this match at all, to the point that they had to look it up to see who he was even teaming with.
I
And
uh, I just searched my database for Miles Hawkins. I have the match that you mentioned. At some point, Leo Rush and Action Andretti defeated the team of Miles Hawkins and Goldie, and then at some point in the past, apparently Private Party defeated Action Andretti and Miles Hawkins.
I was saying, did you spell Miles correctly?
I did.
Myles?
I did
Okay.
because I tried it. I tried to spell it the normal way the first time and nothing came up, so I figured.
Hmm. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Miles Hawkins is an AEW regular. I think he's just a local guy who comes in and does a
He
job whenever they're in
he
town.
is. He is.
And um, I and Miles apparently knows enough about JC to know that he rips on AEW a lot. Apparently, he doesn't know enough to know that Tony Khan has literally said on multiple occasions that he listens to Jim Cornette's show every week. So, with all due respect, even if, you're politely disagreeing with a guy, it's probably best to not get into an internet argument with Jim Cornette, especially if you want to keep getting booked by AEW.
I remember Sean Waltman saying one time, is like, look, no matter how much you disagree with Jim Cornette, just don't.
Yeah, because odds are you are not witty enough to get into an argument, much in real life,
No,
much less on the internet with the guy.
he's got Cornette has like he has the wit of Bobby Heenan and the anger of Jim Cornette.
I was thinking later on that when Daryl Van Horn on this show was just like rapid fire going on and on and on, I'm like, man, him and Cornette doing an interview together would be insane. But you also wonder how much of this, especially with DVH, how much of it is off the top of his head and how much of it is stuff that he has pre-planned to say. Whereas Cornette, I guarantee today he could just go off the top of his head for, 5 minutes without taking a breather.
Yeah, I I don't know. I think you know how old was James Mitchell in at this point? Like he hadn't been in the business
Um,
long, had he? I don't know
I
what
don't
he'd done
think
before
so.
this. I just think
So,
like by this point, Cornette has that experience, and he's got
yeah.
he's got just
So,
decades of experience. There were
so
times
fo-
like we're watching
Mhm.
the '83 stuff. Like Cornette has the enthusiasm, he has that natural ability, but he doesn't have that treasure trove of experience and knowledge yet. You'll see it. But my point is that Daryl Van Horn at this point just doesn't have the same level of experience as Mr. Cornette.
so Daryl Van Horn at this point is about to turn 29.
Okay.
Um, and the always reliable Wikipedia refers to his early career and Smoky Mountain from 1989 through 1995, but the first thing it mentions is being in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
So he
So,
he worked some indies. Where's he from?
um, well, it says he was born in Orlando, and I don't know how long he lived there, but I know he lived there for the longest time.
Okay, see, I was thinking he was from Florida, so he probably worked some Florida indies. I would
Apparently he
assume.
was in the Carolinas and Virginia too.
Okay, well, yeah, yeah, that's
All right. So hey, while we're talking about Smoky Mountain Wrestling, let's talk about some Smoky Mountain Wrestling here. Um, never mind. I was gonna bring up that thing with the Otis screenshot, but basically just to say it's probably a fake, mostly
yeah.
because, I'm sorry I did not see until today that the place that posted it was like a week old. And I like to think if this really was real, it would have been a news story last week.
I forgive you.
Uh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, all right, so let's get into this Smoky Mountain Wrestling episode number 104, January 22nd, taped January 10th at Chilhowie High School in Chilhowie, Virginia, not to be confused with Chilhowie, Tennessee, or wherever it was in
Chilhowie Park, which is a
Chilhowie Park
venue
in
in
Tennessee.
in
Yes.
Knoxville, Knoxville.
The intro of the show was Bob and Dutch.
Welcome to another exciting, action-packed hour of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Professional wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. Hi, fans. I'm Bob Caudle, along with Dirty Dutch Mantell, Dr. Dirty Dutch Mantell. What you working out for, Dutch?
I'm training, getting ready.
You're going to need to be ready, Dutch. We got a great hour this week. The Dirty White Boy. He's going to tell us all about his match with Primetime Brian Lee in Knoxville on February 13th. Prince Kharas. We're going to finally see
Yes,
him
he's gonna be
right here on television. What about Down and Dirty?
A special guest today, and everybody should like this. Jim Cornette and Heavenly Bodies are going to be with me, and they're going to talk about an incident that happened last week concerning Ricky Morton's family, and he's going to be right here with me on Down and Dirty. But right now, Beat the Champ contest, my favorite part of the program. To face Chris Candido today, I'm going to draw a name out right here. And that name says, the Dirty White Boy will face Chris Candido today in a Beat the Champ contest.
All right, fans, we got all of that and much more during this hour. So right now, let's go to the ring.
All right. So, who the hell did Chris Candido piss off? Like, we've seen countless Beat the Champ matches, and anytime, someone wins the Beat the Champ, they spend 2 or 3 weeks wrestling jobbers. And poor Chris Candido has now had to wrestle both Ricky Morton and now the Dirty White Boy.
Well, to be fair, he did some conniving to get. Look. I hate to accuse anybody of impropriety, especially our friend Dutch Mantel, but I think there was something a little bit irregular about that drawing the initial week that Chris Candido was chosen for the Beat the Champ.
I call shenanigans. Chris Candido just happened to be there because he owed Dutch $200, you know? And Chris Candido being as a man that he is, the good, clean Christian athlete that he is, he pays his debts.
You know what? You're right. He doesn't cheat. He's from New Jersey. I'm sorry.
Yes. Unlike Vito Marinero from Schuylkill Haven. And the saddest part of this week's show is, spoiler alert, at no point does Chris Candido cut a promo talking about Vito Marinero from Schuylkill Haven.
Oh, sad.
So yeah, Prince Kharas is going to be here for the first time ever on TV.
Oh
White
God.
Boys are going to tell us about his match with Brian Lee. And Jim Cornette and Heavenly Bodies are on Down and Dirty with Dutch, which, by the way, false advertising, but we'll get to that later on.
I know. I
Um,
know. I was upset about it too.
yeah. By the way, I did want to note I forgot to bring this up during the intro. We were you and I were talking on Facebook a few days ago about how my days have been getting a little crazy, and you advised me to get what did you call it, a bullet journal or something?
A bullet journal, yes.
Yes. So I have gone ahead and purchased, well, at least a journal of some kind, because good God, my stupid life is getting way too busy lately, and I got to keep track of this shit.
Oh, you poor
Uh,
thing. You're
I know, right? Like, it's funny because, like, if I was, 16 to 22, I'd be jealous of how busy my life is. And now I'm like, can I go back to doing nothing?
I've
Oh,
yeah, I've been like really, really
We
kind
finally
of
got a
busy
oh,
day!
Jesus
lately.
Christ.
February!
I
Oh,
start typing shit down, and instead, this thing started acting stupid. Go ahead.
oh
You finally did
well.
what?
Oh, it just I don't know. It feels like I've been super busy for like, I don't know, a month and a half at this point. It's just, it hasn't slowed down, and I really need it to slow back down to where it was.
I was gonna say you've been kind of busy yourself. You've been driving around good old Texas, or at least the good old corner of Texas you live in.
Yeah, yeah, the that area.
Yeah. All right, so we go to the first match. It is Jason Hurd with a D and Robbie Eagle versus the Moondogs with Jim Cornette. And I will say this, even though you've proven to me otherwise, and even though they made jokes about it on this show this week, it still sounds like Brian Matthews says Hearn with an N.
Well,
Um,
who's gonna take Brian Matthews' word for anything?
well, I mean, he's the ring announcer, so in theory, you're supposed to take his word for it.
Huh.
Well, on the very first episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, during the intro, Bob Caudle says that today we're going to see Hector Gomez in action, and has to later correct himself that it's actually Hector Guerrero and not Hector Gomez.
Wow.
It's almost as good as that guy who announced the first UFC who belched into the microphone on his first on camera, and then called it, I think it was the Ultimate Fight Challenge.
Close
So
enough.
yeah. So Jason Hurd, they made jokes that he is the son of Jim Hurd. Um, and so the bell rings, the Moondogs destroyed Hurd and Eagle with plunder, which was apparently not a disqualification. They announced the Moondogs versus the Harrises in a cage match for Sunday Bloody Sunday. After a month, it felt like a month. After a minute of beating up Hurd and Eagle, they were in fact disqualified for kicking too much ass. Um,
Hey, Arya, are you sitting down?
I'm in my comfortable chair. I am
Okay,
sitting
because
down, Trae.
I don't want you to fall over at the revelation I'm about to hit you with.
Okay.
These Moondogs are the shits.
Oh my! I I just fainted.
This whole thing just sucks so much.
Thank you for finally being on my side. You gave it a lot longer than I was willing to give it. Um,
I gave them the benefit of the doubt.
Now in the middle of this, Jim Cornette joins the commentary desk to plug the cage match. I made a note to only play it if there's not much audio to play, and it's one of those weeks we don't need an extra 26 seconds of Jim Cornette promos on the show. Um, then later on in the middle of this beatdown, we cut away to a Harris's promo. As you know, spoiler alert, you may have heard me start to play a minute ago. Let's go to the Harris's.
Over with. We finally got a day. February 13th, Sunday,
Bloody Sunday! That's what they're calling it! Kind of a sadistic day, because it fits us good! The number 13! It's gonna be a steel cage match! Nobody gets in, nobody gets out! Moondogs, you run around the hills, barking, yelling, acting stupid! I don't know if you've ever been caged up. We've been caged up. Ain't no way. You run, you hit something. You run, you hit something. Ain't nowhere to go. Steel cage. We gonna get it on. Bloody Sunday. We're coming. Knoxville. Come out and see it, cause it's gonna be nasty.
They still don't, I swear, no one still knows the name of this goddamn show. It's Sunday, Bloody Sunday. But
I mean,
so I've never been so happy for a Harris's promo before in my life because at least it cut away from, the fucking Moondogs for a minute.
that match lasted 46 seconds and I gave it -3 stars. That's how much I hate this whole scenario.
And here's what drives me fucking up a wall. Um, this shit is really fucking old. It would be one thing. Like, it, I still don't think it would be any good, but it would be one thing if this is the first time we had something like this, where we had the heel wrestler or wrestlers who were so out of control that every time they had a TV match, they get disqualified for kicking too much ass against the local talent. This is the third fucking time in a row this has been a thing. We had Kevin Sullivan, then we had the Harrises, and now we have the fucking Moondogs. It's been the exact same fucking thing since November of '92. And I'm fucking sick of it.
I
Like it got old when fucking Kevin Sullivan and the Night Stalker were doing it for 6 months. It really got old when the Harrises then started doing it, and now it's fucking long past the point of old that the Moondogs are doing it. And literally, the Moondogs, I don't even know if I mean, wrestling ability wasn't the most important thing in the world in 1994, but I don't even know if they're able to have an actual match. And not that at this point, oh, I want the Moondogs to be in a catch as catch can tag match where one man patiently waits on the apron holding the tag rope. But at this point, if they can't do anything but this, then they need it to be banned from TV, where the only way you can see the Moondogs wrestle is going to the live events.
here's the thing, and we alluded to this very briefly on the Friday Night Spot show last week. I aren't these the same two Moondogs who had the feud of the year in 1992?
With Lawler and Jarrett, I believe so.
Yes. Yeah, this ain't a feud of the year. This might be the worst feud of the year.
Well, unfortunately, all those things are recency biased, so by the time December rolls around, everyone will forget about it.
I,
But
I will
when
not. I will
when
write it down.
when the Heresies are the fucking team that's carrying this shit, you know you have fucking problems. And this isn't even like
Uh,
later on Heresies where they're veterans and you can say, okay, they at least know how to work the gimmick a little bit better. This is still young and super green Heresies.
this might be a revelation, but the Harrises, not Jerry Lawler.
Holy fuck. Are you sure?
Last I checked.
I mean, I guess we have proof because the next year the Harrises are in the WWF, and Jerry Lawler's calling their match at WrestleMania. So I guess not.
I've seen people call their own matches before.
That is true. A Anywho, from here we get footage from a recent White Boy Primetime Brian Lee match in Morristown, won by the White Boy, which was apparently a non-title match because he won.
Yeah.
Primetime Brian Lee went to beat up Dirty White Girl when she jumped on his back, but White Boy made the save. Candido ran in to assist Brian Lee. Eventually, Tracy tried to make the save, but he got his ass kicked too. Bad day to be the baby faces.
I got excited here because this is the beginning of spoiler people. I'm sorry. Fast forward 15 seconds if you don't want a spoiler. Chris Candido and Brian Lee are going to become a, fairly long-term tag team, and this was the beginning of that, so I was very excited.
See, I thought you were excited for the other thing, the one you've been
I
waiting
am. I
for
am even more excited about that. We just hadn't gotten to it yet.
well, we will and we'll talk
Two
about it in
minutes?
3 minutes and 16 seconds. First, let's
Okay.
listen to the dirty white boy.
Here's the dirty white boy, and I tell you, we've been anxious to find out. I know you got some. Wait, Tracy Smothers. Tracy?
White boy, I'm sorry to interrupt your interview, but I want to tell you one thing that we've discussed in private. I want to tell all the folks in Chilhowie, Virginia, and the millions of people watching at TV, you're one hell of a man. Now, white boy, I may not like you, and you may not like me, but I think there's a mutual respect between us right there, and I can guarantee you one thing on this tag match we got coming up with Brian Lee and Chris Candido. On my word as a man, I will fight as hard with you as I did against you. Put it there.
Ooh. From Tracy Smothers. Well, and I'm not sure I know, and I know the fans don't know what kind of match we're talking about here.
Everything is starting to look real good for the dirty white boy. Bloody Sunday. That's what I'm looking forward to. February the 13th in the Knoxville Coliseum. It's been signed for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Title. A Tennessee chain match. And not only one time and one time only, walking the aisle, not in a wheelchair, but walking the aisle in my corner is going to be the legendary Wright.
Wow.
Now the man is the master. He is the living legend of the chain matches. Wright has fought everybody, most of it around this area right here. He has had more chain matches than anybody on the face of God's green earth. He's took his lumps, he's took his bruises. The man has bled enough blood to float a battleship. The man is truly a living legend. And right there in Knoxville on February the 13th, there's no way in hell that the dirty white boy is going to lose with my mentor and my idol Ron Wright sitting in my corner. No way. I'll put my right hand to God. Come bloody Sunday, February the 13th, I will walk out the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion and Primetime Brian Lee. There's not one thing you or Tammy Fitch can do about it, because like I said, the living legend himself will be in my corner. A 12-foot chain. They're going to strap us together, tough guy. And I don't honestly think that you're man enough to get the job done. And there's going to be some bloodshed. And it's going to be all yours, Prime Time. I will see you February the 13th in K-Town.
Sunday, bloody Sunday, fan.
I, for one, am happy White Boy figured out his left from his right.
Hey, you know what? That's hard.
Well, hey, he didn't put up his thumb and index finger to make an L just to double check. So I guess that's
I would
good.
have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's-
Although he's a baby face, so like he had to say excuse me to Bob Caudle when he shot his right hand up in front of Caudle's face. I'll
Aw.
be honest, like I I get he had to soften a bit because he's now a baby face, but like I would have wanted to see Dirty White Boy even as a baby face just shoot his arm up in front of Caudle's face because that's just Dirty
Yeah,
White Boy.
yeah. Just kind of a lack of self-awareness would have been a good. I think would have been a good
Yeah.
addition. They shook
Even if
hands. They
even if he
finally shook hands.
yes. I noted, by the way, they go to interview White Boy and Tracy immediately interrupts. The last time Tracy interrupted a babyface cutting a promo, Primetime Brian Lee turned on him. Like, is this the smartest thing to do, Tracy? Um, but he did tell White Boy that he was a hell of a man. They may not like each other, but there's a mutual respect, and there's apparently a tag team match coming up. And he gives his word as a man that he will fight as hard as his partner as he did as his opponent. Um, and that had me wondering, and I guess we still don't know the answer to this. When the hell are they? When the hell is this match?
I don't know,
It's
but
not. It's yeah.
I really want to see it because Tracy Smothers and the Dirty White Boy against Brian Lee and Chris Candido sounds pretty awesome.
Yep. It's not at Sunday Bloody Sunday because, as I successfully predicted last week, it's a Tennessee chain match, um, defeating
Eh,
Trae's idea that it was going to be a mixed tag match.
yeah.
So, so we were talking about this earlier today that due to me just getting a life all of a sudden, I had to watch this show in shifts. And I watched the first 10 minutes basically up until the White Boy promo that first. And that's when Trey watched and he's messaging me saying, I'm so excited, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh my God, they're doing the mixed tag, aren't they? Because that was your prediction. Um,
No.
no. Anyway, so the big news is not just is it a Tennessee chain match, Mr. Ron Wright will be walking to the ring in White Boy's corner.
Amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah. We were talking about on the World Class show that dropped on Tuesday. We were talking about how um they basically told you that Kerry was going to win the world title without telling you Kerry was going to win the world title. I don't know this for a fact, but it seems pretty obvious. This is them telling you the Dirty White Boy is about to beat Primetime Brian Lee for the title without them telling you that Dirty White Boy is going to win.
I haven't looked, but I assumed that what happens.
Yeah. And this is the show that Lance Storm talks about, or actually both him and Jericho talk about that they were brought in by Cornette to watch. And this is the one with Terry Funk doing his first ever moonsault.
Okay, is that show available? Because I want to see that show. I want to see this Tennessee chain match. I want to see the Bullet against Terry Funk. Is
I,
that available?
I, I don't think so. I'm sorry,
That
Trey.
sucks. Why is there not like why are more of these fucking big events not available?
Because they like the ones that are available are the ones that Smoky Mountain themselves made available, and like
I
they
know.
didn't make
Why
all
didn't
their.
they make more
Okay.
available? Like,
I mean, I don't know. Like they may not have thought that there was a lot of money to be made. I'm a little surprised that they didn't think that about Sunday Bloody Sunday because I mean, this is a show full of big gimmick matches. So you would think, it would be out of curiosity, people would want to go check it out.
you would think so. You would think so,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Um, or maybe it was a copyright issue. Who knows? Maybe there was some
Well, I
issue
guess
with yeah.
it's one more for the time machine.
Yep. Yeah, when I YouTube that shit, I'm, not getting anything. Yeah. So, oh well. Sorry, people.
Maybe maybe when we go back in time, we can just like record it on our phones and upload it to YouTube.
Would that cause a issue with the time-space continuum?
No, not if we just up come not if we record it and then come back and upload it today. I don't think it would fuck
But
with the timeline.
but wouldn't we
Because
run
nobody
the
would know
risk
about
of
it.
but wouldn't we run the risk of like be sitting in the crowd recording it with our cell phones and having some dumb hick from Knoxville looking over our shoulders and asking what the hell are we doing? Or
Well,
how more like more how are we doing this?
just tell them it's magic.
Wow, so you want us to end up as witches? That was the witch.
I'll
Uh,
come let me talk to the hillbillies.
Okay, great. I'll let you be hung up too. Um, so while White Boy was talking, they were also showing bloody still pictures of Mr. Ron Wright, and
Yeah.
it's like it's always funny, like because there are some Ron Wright promos from the '70s on YouTube. And he has always sounded like a 60-year-old man. I don't know how that
There
is.
really, God, Prime Ron Wright footage is my Library of Alexandria. Like, I just wish we had more of it.
I tell you what. All right. So yeah, I guess we are officially getting the thugs, at least to some minor degree here.
T is for
Because
terrible,
remember,
H is for hell, U is for ugly, G is for jail.
because a thug can't spell. I like that you took away my
Well,
one good impression. Um. Anyway, um, so we got Louis Spicoli versus Jeff Victory. Yes, Louis Spicoli, who is coming into Smoky Mountain because he wants a shot at the United States Junior Heavyweight title, and he apparently was out of the country when the tournament took place, and apparently continued to be out of the country for the last 6 months that this title's been a thing. I guess it hasn't quite been 6 months, but it's been around since like September. Um, and apparently the only way he can get a title shot is by facing Jeff Victory. Um, I have to question the very suspect rankings of the U.S. Junior Heavyweight title. Um, because shouldn't he have to beat a real contender like, I don't know, Bobby Blaze?
well, presumably no, I don't think that this was a ranking match. I think this was just a Louis McCauley was in town and just, I mean, if you as a if you as Sandy Scott as the matchmaker, you have an opportunity for a talented, highly touted international wrestler like Louis McCauley, uh, and then you have. Remember we talked about these fellows who they work a regular job, but they're trying to get experience. Why wouldn't you give one of those guys a shot against Louis McCauley on your television show?
To be fair, Sandy Scott is not the matchmaker. He's the general manager of
Well,
Smoky
who's the
Mountain Wrestling.
matchmaker? Somebody's who's
We don't have an official one now that Bob Caudle, or yeah, Bob Caudle, Bob Caudle was never the commissioner either. Now that Bob
Oh
Armstrong is
God.
not the commissioner,
Oh God, do you think George is secretly booking the cards and sending them to Sandy?
George Scott.
Yeah.
No, because Paul Jones hasn't come in as the top babyface yet.
Okay. Travesty. Did you notice that apparently
Y
Louis Piccoli is also banking Pam?
yes, because they mentioned they. I noted that they did the Pam Lawson plug during Louis' match, so apparently it's not just the
Uh,
rock and rolls.
I wonder how
Um,
Madonna feels about that.
yeah, there's a joke like three people may get.
Thank you.
Louis won with the jaw jacker, by the way. They tried and they showed a replay of it. They're like, oh, he's doing a cross body, but he kind of turned into it. It's like, no, he did the fucking jaw jacker. I'm like, don't get too used to Louis Spicoli, especially since he's stealing the top baby face's move.
I don't know why, but I don't know. You're right, it was. But when I saw it, my brain remembered. Do you remember the Jericho and MJF feud with the Five Labors of Jericho or whatever? And
Yep.
Jericho wrestled Juventud Guerrera and he had to win with a top rope move. So he did the Judas effect off the top rope. That was what this looked like.
Yes. It was almost as smooth as the almost 50-year-old Chris Jericho doing the Judas effect of the.
I really want to see how an SMW audience reacts to Spicoli against Chris Candido.
You're gonna find out really soon. Just letting you know.
That's
All right,
awesome.
so let's go to the Bullet, who's got some words to say about the contract that he signed for Sunday Bloody Sunday.
You know, I'm just here reading this contract, and I believe it's the worst contract I've ever had to sign in my professional career, but I had to get what I wanted. You see, I'm tired of playing games, Cornette. That's why I let you have your way. I said, pick any stipulation you want to pick. Let's just get it over with. I want Bob Armstrong back in here as commissioner, especially now that you've got somebody in high places. And I can tell you've got somebody in high places on the board of directors for this contract I had to sign. Not only is it a Texas death match with Terry Funk, who's never been beaten in a Texas death match. Everybody knows his father invented the Texas death match. In fact, Terry Funk put Bob Armstrong out of the Smoky Mountain area, and that's why the Bullet was born, and that's why I'm here. So I had to sign this contract, and I noticed right down at the very bottom, if I do lose this match, not only is Bob Armstrong gone forever, the Bullet is gone forever. And when the match is over, I've got to crawl across the ring and kiss your feet. Now, who ever heard of a contract like that? You had to have a friend in high places to get that done. But I'll tell you one thing, brother. I'd rather take my last breath on God's green earth than to crawl across the ring and kiss your feet. Now, Terry Funk did beat Bob Armstrong, but he has yet to beat the Bullet. So I'll be ready, willing, and you know I'm able. And I'll prove again that the Bullet is bad to the bone.
Bad, bad to the bone. By the way, he says this is the worst contract he ever had to sign. He didn't have to sign it. He just only had to sign it if he wanted his special stipulation. Now, has it ever been explained why the Bullet wants Bob Armstrong so badly to be the commissioner?
He just really believes in his vision for Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
There you go. So
And
I
he
guess
and he knows that the reason the territory is going down is because George Scott is secretly making the matches.
oh Lord, that might explain the last couple months of Smoky Mountain when we get to late '95.
Is this
Uh,
show too esoteric?
uh, I don't want to spoil it for you. Just it's not the highlight of Smoky Mountain Wrestling is not when that happens. Um, so did they announce last week that this was a Texas death match? I don't remember them saying that.
I don't remember. My brain wants to say it did, but I think that may just be because I already knew it was a Texas death match.
Okay. Yeah, part
Because
of me
I'm
was
in the
like,
future.
I yeah, part of me is like, I think they said it was a Texas death match, but then part of me is like, I don't remember that. And I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah. One second, I have to tell boyfriend to sleep tight.
Well,
Um, all right. So from here, we're gonna go to Down and Dirty with Dutch, but before we saw that, Paul Morton was asleep last week on the floor, and we needed to revisit that. Um, so after that, let's go to Down and Dirty with Dutch. Now, if you recall, he said he was gonna have Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies. Well, motherfucker, this is false advertising. Let's go to Down and Dirty right now.
Okay, fans, you saw it. I am joined here at the set of Smoky Mountain Wrestling for Down and Dirty with Jim Cornette and Dr. Tom Pritchard. And Jim, I just got a question or so to ask you. Last week, a lot of people have said that the line was crossed between you and the Rock and Roll Express with the incident that occurring with Ricky's dad, Paul Morton.
Oh, who cares about that old fossil? He's a bald-headed, nothing-happening goop. He's decrepit. He's about 124 years old. He was a big deal before electricity. Let me explain something. That old man tried to assault me. He tried to assassinate me. He put his hands on me first. Do you realize that? I tried to press charges, but they wouldn't take my statement. But I guarantee you this, I showed him who he was messing with. When that old man, when he struck me, I knocked him down just like that.
Wait a minute. I was the one who knocked him down, Jim. I was the guy who knocked him down.
Well, I kicked him once he was down there, but it don't make any difference. The point is, Paul Morton got what he deserved because he started the whole thing. Now, they have added a match on February 13th in Knoxville, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. The Rock and Roll Express for the tag team title against the Bodies. That means that we've got to wrestle twice. The Furnaces in the Tennessee-Alabama match and the Rock and Roll Express. That's not fair.
They figure that for us to wrestle twice, to put the titles up,
and have to wrestle twice in one night. That's not fair. It's not fair, but you see, they figured that's the only way that they can beat the Heavenly Bodies. Well, Ricky Morton, I think you're a psychopath. You're trying to get a hold of me at every opportunity. Well, it ain't gonna work. The Rock and Roll are not gonna beat the Bodies. Neither are the Furnaces. And all this talk about Paul Morton, well, that's no problem at all, because you see, Paul Morton's okay. He's fit as a fiddle and ready to play. As a matter of fact, he is right here today. So if you will back the camera up, Mr. Cameraman, pull back. I would like to introduce you to Mr. Paul Morton right here. Come on in here, Paul.
Oh, no, come on.
Here's Paul Morton, and as you can see, he's looking better than ever. As a matter of fact, I bet you're a musical genius too, aren't you? He's a man of few words. Let me ask you a question, Tom. Have you seen Paul Morton's new suit?
No, I haven't, Jim.
Neither is he. That's your daddy, Paul, Ricky Morton. I hope you like it, and I hope you realize.
Watch out. Oh, Dutch move. There come rock and roll, and there go Jim Cornette, and there go the Heavenly Bodies. Cornette is literally running for his life. Almost trapped, almost caught. Here he comes back this way again, and there he goes.
Well, hey, fans, don't go away. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Okay, so I don't even know where to start with this one. First, Dutch said last week was the night the line was crossed. No, Dutch, that's in 2 weeks. And then Cornette said that Paul Morton assaulted him, so he took credit for knocking down Paul Morton, but Tom yelled that was him, which I marked out for a little bit because, you know, he couldn't even let that one go, right? But then out comes Paul Morton, and I gotta say, Paul Morton, and I guess we really didn't get a good look at him last week while he was laying on the ground sleeping. He looks a lot like Jimmy Del Rey wearing sunglasses and carrying a cane.
Look, you bring that up, and we were told that this was going to be a segment with Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Where was my scumbag?
I don't know. I think he took a week off, or he at least took a segment off because he was not in this at all. And then to make things weird, why was Ricky Morton trying to beat up his dad? Ricky and Robert come running out, and Ricky chases after his dad, who is blind and needs a cane to get around. But he managed to get away from his crazy ass son, trying to attack him.
There's some unresolved family stuff that we don't know about probably, but I just hope that poor Paul Morton was able to get involved with the local National Federation of the Blind chapter, and it was able to continue to live the life he wants.
There you go. There's a cheap plug for something. I got a little bad jokes.
Yes, a cheap plug for the National Federation of the Blind.
Have you seen Paul Morton's new suit? Neither has he. But now the Heavenly Bodies have to wrestle twice at Sunday Bloody Sunday because Smoky Mountain has 5 tag teams.
Now
That's
look,
pretty much it.
Look, Tom Pritchard and Jim Cornette both admitted culpability in the attack on Paul Morton. But as far as I know, my scumbag had nothing to do with any of this. So why is he being punished?
I don't know. Maybe it should be a match between Tom Pritchard versus Ricky Morton, which still would require Tom Pritchard to wrestle twice, but it'd be a little more fair.
I mean, Jimmy Del Rey can take Doug Furnas and Mike Furnas by himself.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'd like to see Doug Furnas and Dr. Tom have a hair flip match, or see who can
I have a
poof
better
out their
idea.
hair more.
Let's they can also blind Mike Furnas, and we can do the Heavenly Bodies against Doug and Robert Gibson. I don't know how I got to that conclusion.
don't know either, but hey, why the hell not? Um, so speaking of the Furnaces, they're up next for a promo. Let's go to Doug, and yes, Mike is still here.
Everybody knows the stipulations to the match. February 13th, the helmet's on a pole, and if we lose the match, we have to wear an Alabama sweatshirt.
That ain't gonna happen. I'd rather have my face rubbed in puke than let that happen in Knoxville.
Boys, let me tell you something. When it comes down to being just athletic, what it's going to take to climb that pole, take a look and see who the best athletes are. It's not going to be that way. It's going to, in downtown in Knoxville, the Coliseum, a half a mile from Neyland Stadium, if we got beat, Coach Fulmer would come down, Mike's offensive line coach would kick our butts all the way back to Neyland Stadium, would have us doing gassers all night. Well, it ain't going to happen. Think about it, boys. You hit one of us with this helmet, the next time it's us on you. You might ought to think about wearing something to the ring to cover those coconuts, because it's going to be lump time.
I'm assuming in football parlance, gassers are the football equivalent of suicides, which, for anybody who doesn't know what a suicide is, in sports terms, it's a basketball thing where you start on the baseline, you run to the free throw line and back, you run to half court and back, you run to the opposite free throw line
Oh
and back,
yeah,
and you run to the
yeah.
opposite
Okay.
baseline and back. That's what's
I
called a suicide in basketball. So I'm assuming
yes.
gasser is probably the football equivalent of that.
I have no
Um,
idea. I once you started explaining what a suicide was, I remembered that I knew that, but yeah, I don't know.
so in football conditioning, gassers refer to a type of sprint drill where players sprint from sideline to sideline or hash mark and back in a high intensity short burst of running. So essentially,
Hmm.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mike would rather have his face rubbed in puke rather than wear an Alabama sweatshirt.
That
That,
might
that
actually be like the single best promo line of Mike Furness's life because it was a pretty decent line.
yeah. It was almost as good as his promo last week. Um,
It was really good delivery for Mike Furness.
yes, well, I mean, I guess we're using the Tim Horner scale with him. Which at
Well, he
least
trained
wi-
him.
at least with Mike Furness, you can give him a pass because Mike Furness has been in wrestling for 3 months, whereas Horner has been in wrestling for over a decade at this point and still can't cut a promo.
How do you think Mike Furness would have been a great promo if he stayed in the business for a decade?
I think he would have had the chance to. But like you look at this show where it's like you have some people who are, who had a good long career as wrestlers, Horner, White Boy, Tracy, Primetime Brian Lee, and then the Rock and Roll Express, obviously. And you have people who literally never did anything else in their careers, like Mike Furness and Prince Kharas.
I
Uh,
genuinely like. I feel better that I didn't know who Prince Kharas was because is this all he did?
yeah, this is all he did.
It's like in my head, I keep thinking, okay, Ron Reese, no, that was the fucking Yeti who was also for
Yeti!
some reason a mummy.
And then he was Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Well, at
You
least
don't remember
Scorpion from
that, do
Mortal
you?
Kombat is cool. What if Prince Kharas became Scorpion or Sub-Zero? How about that?
There you go. I would have liked that. I like that. I looked for Prince Kharas on Google, and WWE.com actually put a fucking Prince Kharas match up on WWE.com in 2013.
Who was your favorite Mortal Kombat character? Did you have one? Did you play Mortal
Oh,
Kombat?
Sub-Zero by far.
Yeah.
He was
I
the best.
Sub-Zero is great. I was a Johnny Cage guy.
Okay. Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, it's like I'm happy you named somebody from back in like the '90s Mortal Kombat because it's like I haven't played anything recent-ishly.
Neither have I.
So apparently I lied. Prince Kharas did do a little bit more. He was known as Gravedigger, um, the Grim Reaper. Um, Let me see, what else has he been as? I may have actually seen him wrestle on an indie show. I don't I can't tell you for a fact, but like I can tell you I've seen several of these people in this battle royal. He was apparently in wrestle, like Johnny Gunn, who was Tom Brandy, and King Kolua. Um, but Rob he wrestled as Rob Mazel or Rob Mazzy, maybe, and Rob Monroe. And he apparently wrestled until 1998. So I guess he did have something. And he
Oh,
did he apparently his final match, I don't see him ever winning this title, but apparently in his final match he lost the WWWA Spanish title to LHT.
LHT.
Yes.
I need to know like if he was this bad the whole time or if he got better.
I mean, keep in mind, he is wrestling during the period of time where WWF and WCW are signing everybody, and he never even has a tryout match in either company.
Yeah, that probably tells you something. This sucked so bad. Like it
So we haven't even
Daryl Van
gotten to it
Horn
yet.
ranking on commentary was 1,000 times. Oh, uh,
Technically, we
Prince
still have a Jim
Kharas.
Cornette promo to go, but
Okay,
let's go.
okay.
Prince Kharas with Daryl Van Horn versus Jason West. This was so bad that Daryl Van Horn did a Jim Cornette like intro, and it wasn't even interesting enough to play it.
I
Like,
I've been very positive about this was the show where I really like accepted that we are past the high point of Smoky Mountain Wrestling because this match was -1 star and it was the second worst match on the show.
it was at one point one of the longest matches on the show. I did
This
not
was
clock it, but I'm like, this is challenging Louis Spicoli and Jeff Victory.
They went almost 4 minutes and it was painful. It hurt the whole time. They went almost 2 full minutes more. No, wait, they went almost a full minute more than Louis Spicoli and Jeff Victory.
Oh my God, they did?
They did.
Oh my God. Please tell me it was at least shorter than the main event. Please tell me Jason West and Prince Kharas was not the longest match on the show.
No, no, the main event was a little bit longer.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I Jason West attacks him at the bell and dust flies off. Caudle made a joke saying that Harris should have been vacuumed before the match. Van Horn takes the headset and says that he's tired of the bottom feeders. He wants the big mouths. Like I was like waiting for you to say something about this one. He wants the big mouths like Dirty White Boy, who he said needs to get a breast reduction and give what's taken to the dirty white girl.
Oh, douchebag. I was just happy to have something entertaining happening because the fucking match was not.
No. He calls Ricky Morton a coward like his dad and threatening to pluck out Gibson's one good eye, which was a great comment. But I had to ask, and not that this ultimately matters, what is a 3,000-year-old mummy's goals in professional wrestling? Like, ultimately, if this is a shoot, what's Prince Kharas here to try to achieve? Does he want to be the champion? Is he trying to become the Smoky Mountain champion? Like,
Okay, to be fair, and God help me for defending this in any way. But to be fair, if it's a shoot, we are to assume that this is some idiot pretending to be a 3,000-year-old mummy and not an actual 3,000-year-old mummy.
Coddle is not even playing along, too. That's the
He
best
is
part. It's
not.
like,
That is good for you, Bob. Good for you, Bob Coddle. Do not give this any more than it deserves.
do you want to discuss his finish?
The fucking mummy has a loaded forearm.
He twisted his arm around 3 times. I don't know what the point of doing it 3 times was, because it just puts I guess it puts it in the same spot it would if he just twisted it once. But he twists his uh arm pad, wrist pad, his wrist tape around 3 times and drops a big forearm blow onto Jason West's shoulder. This isn't even the Great Khali doing the chop to the head. This is a forearm to the shoulder, and it knocked Jason West the fuck out.
Yes. The Prince Kharas won by referee stoppage due to a loaded forearm to the shoulder.
I I was behind and I still had to rewind just to double check where that forearm went to. Yes, it was right to the shoulder, people. And Jason West knocked out.
Okay, we've established that we have the something else hall of something else for awesome people like Baron Gattoni and Bruno Sammartino's mom. Can we have a something else hall of this fucking sucks and induct Prince Kharas into it? Prince Kharas
Sure.
and the fucking Moondogs.
The something else hall of what did you call it?
Of this sucks.
This sucks. Prince Paris inducted May 20th, 2025. Do we want to add a note to this or just that we're inducting Prince Kharas and the Moondogs?
That's
Moon-
good enough. For crimes against me, particularly.
For both of them or just one of them?
Both of them. This
Okay.
this segment was a
All right.
war
So
crime.
I think Prince Kharas is here until April.
Oh God, it's January. Oh.
Yes, it is.
At least he can't be on more than like once per taping though, right? They wouldn't do that to us. Because he's only gonna
We'll
be on
see.
like every 3 or 4 weeks, right?
Let me see here. He's going to have 3 TV matches, but
Including this one?
yes,
Or three more. Okay. So two
three
more.
three total. Now the thing is too, it's like now that he's on TV, he's probably going to get some promo time.
Do you think anybody like could anybody have gotten anything out of Prince Kharas?
I mean, who let's see who he wrestled. He wrestled Horner. He wrestled Bobby Blaze. And say what you want about Horner, as we've mentioned over and over again, Horner is like the person you'd want to have people wrestling in their first matches because he knows
Yeah.
how to work.
See, both of those guys, Horner and Bobby Blaze, are guys that if he had anything redeeming at all, they would have figured it out.
Yeah. And I guess Cornette in the Junkyard Dog wrestling Ric Flair for the world title in 1990 moment, Cornette realized he probably had to get something out of this because Prince Kharas is going to get 11 shots at the Smoky Mountain heavyweight title.
Oh
11.
God. Oh God.
Yes. If it helps, we only see one of them on TV.
Oh.
Uh, So we'll see how that goes.
Are we
Um,
gonna are we gonna go back and listen to the Cornette promo?
oh yeah. Let's go back in time where Jim Cornette cut a promo, and hey, Jimmy Del Rey finally showed up. Jim Cornette and the Heavenly
Yeah.
Bodies are going to attempt to cut a promo here.
All right, fans, what a day that's going to be. Sunday, Bloody Sunday, February 13th in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Tennessee, Alabama, Jim Cornette. Wait a
Those
minute.
guys are out of their mind. They're crazy. They're trying to kill somebody. You're letting it go on. Everybody right here's letting it go on. They're nuts.
I think your cup is about to run over on Bloody Sunday. Your cup's full, a little too full.
I think your cups have been full for 20 years. That's why you can't get an honest job. Let me say one thing right now. As far as the furnaces go, you're a bunch of quitters. You're going to jump ship just like that no-good coward Heath Schuler. So we're not even worried about the furnaces. But Rock and Roll Express, you keep pulling tricks like that, I'm not only going to press charges for assault and battery, I'm going to see my lawyer, and you're going to be locked up in a penitentiary for a long time to come. They tried to injure us. Do you realize that? But then I got started thinking. I said, you know, it seems like since Paul Morton, Ricky Morton's father, is blind now, and Robert Gibson's mother's a deaf mute, if they ever got a romance going, the only way that they'd be able to find each other is by smell. But that shouldn't be hard, because they both stink. You stink, and the Rock and Roll Express stinks. You're all stinking.
Wait a minute, here they come. The Rock and Roll. And they're Dutch. Ooh. Oh, my hell. And I know you guys are upset. Some bad upset, Rick.
Bob, you know, throughout the years of us wrestling Jimmy Cornette for all the years through, nothing like this has ever happened or occurred. But let me tell you one thing, Jimmy Cornette. You could take the Smoky Mountain Title, throw them out the window. We don't care about them anymore. You know, my dad always told me, he says, you know, that one big chance always comes around in life. Jimmy Cornette, God bless you, brother, because my chance is coming.
All right. So that was a different promo there by the Rock and Roll Express.
We don't even know if they're here to stay or here to play.
No. But just remember, they're not here for they don't care about the championship anymore. Just remember that for the next 2 years when they win it like 6 more times.
Well, it does sound like they're just playing now.
Imagine if they did care about the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Tag Team titles. You know, how many times they'd win it then. Maybe they only win it once more because they would just held it until
exactly
the company went out of business. Yeah.
If they cared, they'd just never lose them.
Yeah. So Cornette brings up Heath Schuler, and I kind of had to laugh because I know he got drafted in '94. And I'm not sure why he mentioned Schuler being a traitor. Schuler left the University of Tennessee after his junior year instead of staying for his senior year. And he ended up he got drafted by the Washington team of football. Which is so much better of a name than the Washington Commanders.
He got drafted as a junior?
Yeah, you can leave after 2 years of college. I mean, I actually don't know if that was still the rule in '94, but it is now. You can leave after 2 years.
Okay. Didn't know.
Yep. And yeah, Heath Schuler went second behind Marshall Falk, who went second to Indianapolis, and the long forgotten Dan Wilkinson to Cincinnati at the #1 pick in the draft. Oh well. So after that, we then had that Prince Kharas match, where Jason West lost via TKO via shoulder blow. And then, did you know that accommodations are provided this week by the Holiday Inn Express in Abingdon, Virginia? Trae, this is where you'll find clean, affordable smoking or non-smoking rooms. And even if you're there for a romantic night out, you and your loved one might want to consider a jacuzzi suite. That's Holiday Inn Express in Abington, Virginia.
You know what? I don't know if it's the same building or the same exact location, but there is still a Holiday Inn Express right off of I-81 in Abingdon, Virginia. I could not figure out how to get Google Maps to tell me if that was exit 19 or not. But they have 4.5 stars on Google with 228 reviews. So I would have to say, based on that, that if I found myself in need of lodging in Abingdon, Virginia, I would go see the good folks at the Holiday Inn Express.
Although I imagine there's no smoking rooms anymore.
Yeah, probably not. They don't tend to have those anymore. You know, when I was a young man, I had no standards and I would just stay at any kind of shitball motel. And then I started traveling with my wife and ladies have standards. So I have reached the point that my speed is just about is a Holiday Inn Express.
I apparently am not a lady because I'm still the wherever, you know. I found the cheapest hotel in Las Vegas to sleep at for a week, so and
Oh, I
I
can only imagine what you saw.
it was I didn't think it was a bad place at all, you know. I paid 40 something dollars a night, and it's all like, I said I wasn't there to spend a week in my hotel. I was there. I had a hotel room to go to sleep in, and it was great. Um, we then get our main event, which is Beat the Champ TV champion Chris Candido versus Dirty White Boy with the Dirty White Girl. It was during this match we were informed that if you want to learn to wrestle, Tim Horner will teach you if you go to the Smoky Mountain wrestling camp. Keep in mind, neither of the men in this match were trained by Tim Horner. Um, we had a bit of a wacky spot here. Candido hip tossed White Boy, and White Boy was pissed. Like, motherfucker, how dare you hip toss me? Um, so to make up for it, he blocked a second attempt and used a clothesline. Out came Tammy Fitch, who, by the way, is the young lady who filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling. She came down to cheer Candido on. Dutch said he'll figure out what's going on by next week, and it made me think about the Christmas show, the year in review show they just did, where Tammy or Cornette made the little side comment about Candido to Tammy. Um, so I wonder if Dutch will go
Yeah.
back and review the tapes and
Uh,
figure what's going on.
Dutch was on fire during this match. He dropped the following wisdom that I thought was just so profound. I had to write it down. Words mean things. Usually, when people say things, they mean something by it.
Oh, wow. That was I'm mad you didn't tell me to sit down because, I was not prepared for such a statement.
Uh,
But
so,
yeah.
uh, you may recall that there was a time in my life that I thought I might someday have value to societies. So I was in graduate school for a while, and I will forever remember this one particular conversation where we were getting really out into the weeds about the definition of a particular term that gets batted around in history a lot. I'm not even going to go into that. But finally, our professor, just in a fit of frustration, says one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard. We have to have words that mean things.
He's got a point.
It was a she, but yes.
And apparently my computer, I don't know, I imagine it got picked up there. My computer disagreed with my statement because it ant me. Did you hear that?
I did. I did.
Okay, good. Um, all right. So a White Boy makes his comeback. Candido KO'd White Boy with Tammy's purse for the DQ. Tammy seductively crawled into the ring for some reason. So White Girl grabbed her. So Candido grabbed the White Girl. So Primetime Brian Lee came down and attacked White Boy and choked him out with White Boy's chain. Tracy made the save as the show came to an end, and we're informed that next week it's going to be White Boy versus Killer Kyle and Terry Funk will speak.
Oh, that's exciting.
Ooh, yes. Exciting
I
indeed.
So as I pointed out, there were some things that I thought were notably bad on this program, but overall, I'm still excited about, at least I'm excited about the direction that this story is moving.
Hmm. But did you enjoy this match?
You know, again, I would love for them to have like a proper match because I think that they would have an excellent match, but they had a decent little match.
Um, so this might be a sign of things coming up to change the subject, but Joe Hendry laid out Trick Williams in the go home segment to their TNA title match this weekend. And
Well, we have established where Joe Hendry is on the WWE pecking order. So yeah, I believe 100% that that Trick Williams is going to win the TNA World Title.
Mhm. By the way, if your parents were born in September, I'm sorry, if you were born in September, man, I fucked this one up. If you were born in September, it's pretty safe to assume your parents started out the new year with a bang.
Well, I'm glad that I was born on the very last day of August then.
There you go. They spent New Year's Eve with a bang. Um, so 104 down, 96 to go. Um, so we are 52% of the way through Smoky Mountain. Right.
All I was gonna say it's all downhill from here, but that's not what I meant. But then that may be what I meant. I don't know.
I mean, we got the gangsters still to come in. We got the thrill
Okay,
seekers coming in.
yeah, we've got McFoley coming in later this year. There's good stuff to come.
Buddy Landell's coming back later this year. You know, we're gonna have a lot of good. And then we're gonna have Tommy Rich and Terry Gordy, and not the good Terry Gordy either. Um, and yeah, we're gonna have especially those last few months after the Super Bowl of wrestling, where it's like, how the hell did this
That's
company go out of business that quickly?
no. We may
I think like I mean, we talk about, I keep complaining about how they ignore stipulations a lot and that's killing the attendance. I think the other thing, and this is one Cornette really never learned from, even going into Smoky Mountain Wrestling, or not Smoky Mountain, but the OVW, he over relies on the big names to draw houses. And then like people just skip the rank and file shows because they're like, well, we'll save our money until next month when the big names are coming in.
we should
Yeah.
I had something that we should do and I lost it. Oh, we should when we get to the other side of the Super Bowl of wrestling, but by that point we'll the listenership and the Friday Night Spot Show will be way up and we can do like some kind of I don't know like a you remember like the old telethons? We'll do that, but it'll be us like watching just marathoning the last like 10 weeks or whatever of Smoky Mountain TV.
Oh God. Listen to the Friday Night Spot Show for 10 hours while we're watching the last 10 episodes of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Oh Lord,
We'll figure out the live streaming by then.
yes, we got a year and a half to figure it out. All right. So let's talk about what else happened in the world of wrestling, because as we always say, I can tell you January 22nd, 1994 until I'm blue in the face, but this gives you some context to where you're like, oh, this is what's happening? And I'm like, yes, yes, it is. So the big news is that Dusty Rhodes has officially resigned as the booker of WCW after a record-breaking 3 years as head booker. As noted in my critically acclaimed one-of-a-kind tome, 40 Years of Pay-Per-View, Book 1, 1985 through 1990, seemingly every WCW pay-per-view during that era started with me saying, and WCW has a new booker slash new guy in charge. But yeah, Dusty's had the book for 3 years. But as we mentioned last month, especially after the meeting with Ted Turner, and Bischoff realized that Ric Flair was Ted Turner's favorite wrestler, Ric Flair was given the book.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Then
thinking.
also this weekend, and actually the day of this Smoky Mountain show, was the
Uh-huh.
1994 Royal Rumble, which is still one of my favorite shows to go back and watch. And at the time, at least, was one of Dave Meltzer's least favorite shows ever, due to the fact that the only match that really had a finish was the opener with Tatanka versus Bam Bam Bigelow. But this show, for those who don't remember, was a tie in the Royal Rumble with Bret Hart and Lex Luger going over at approximately the same time. Um, it gave my brother nightmares, legitimate nightmares that we still talk about to this day. When Yokozuna beat the Undertaker in a casket match, and then they did the resurrection of the Undertaker on the video screen, and they hoisted Marty Jannetty to the heavens. That gave my brother nightmares.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and that was also when Owen Hart kicked Bret Hart's leg out of his leg.
Amazing.
So it's a
Tremendous.
hell of a show, you know?
I don't know that I've ever seen the whole thing. I feel bad. I'm like so far behind on my 1993 that I'm not even in the right year anymore because I'm supposed to be in 1994 now.
Yeah.
Life got stupid busy.
Did you ever watch UFC 1 like you were going to, or did you not even get to that
I
point?
here's where I am. I still need to watch the very last WCW Saturday night from October.
Damn. At least you've gotten through Halloween Havoc.
Yes, I did. Did I? Yeah, I did.
Oh, I'd say it was the week before, so I hope so.
Yeah, presumably I
Um,
did.
yep. And speaking of UFC 1, according to Variety Magazine, there's going to be a second Ultimate Fight pay-per-view on March 11th, also from Denver. I know you're shocked to hear that UFC, the company that's at what, 330 shows now, um, and that's not just the number of shows they run per year. I mean, 330 numbered shows, that they ran a second show. Um,
Huh.
and according to Variety Magazine, this one will include Minoki Ichihara, Emmanuel Yarborough, and Ken Shamrock among the challengers to reigning champion Hoist Gracie. Notably, neither Yarborough nor Shamrock are a part of UFC 2. They will be back, though, for UFC. Well, Shamrock will be back, and Yarborough will be debuting at UFC 3. And Yarborough, for those who don't recognize the name, he was the guy who was like 6'8" and 600 pounds. And he fights. He's the biggest fighter in UFC history, and will ever be the biggest fighter in UFC history. Now that once he implemented weight limits, but yeah, 600 pounds fighting in the UFC.
What if the UFC had an X division? It's not
Where it's
about
not
weight
about weight
limits.
limits; it's about no limits.
Yeah.
Isn't that the BMF title?
Yeah, but they still only do it within weight classes.
I guess. Um, I gotta say, like that's one. Like I know it's like they don't hold up very much, but like that's when I really like UFC, where like those anything goes. Well, not really anything goes, but allegedly anything goes. Uh, open weight tournaments. Like they were so much more fun to watch than now.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun with the freak show aspect.
Yep, yep. Let's see here. Anything else to talk about? Oh, you want to talk about All Out moving to Toronto?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a story, but I don't know. They decided the first year that they ran on the bank holiday at the last weekend in August. They
Yep.
did, the Chicago Chicago Labor Day a week later, and it was too fast of a turnaround. So then last year they moved it back a week, and it was still kind of too fast of a turnaround. But also they had already taken it off of Labor Day weekend. So like, what's the point? So apparently, the decision has been made that it is better to if you can only do one or the other, to do the London show at the end of August than to do Chicago Labor Day weekend.
I'll be honest, and I think this is why they're doing that 6 show residency in Chicago to kind of make up for it. I'm wondering if they may face a Jim Crockett takes Starrcade out of Greensboro type backlash. Because like it was one thing to not have it in Chicago the year of the pandemic, because it was the pandemic, but it's like this is one of their traditions, and I guess they're doing the same thing with Vegas and Double or Nothing, and it's like this was like one of those things that like Tony wanted to make. Memorial Day is a tradition in Vegas, Labor Day is a tradition in Chicago, and this year especially he's taking them both out of there. And I get that, WWE just did WrestleMania, and so it's hard to, you know, do another giant event in Las Vegas 6 weeks later, but still, but it makes you wonder too. It's like because I haven't seen, maybe I'm just like really overthinking this because I haven't seen any real backlash online to this. So, and that might even be worse that nobody cares.
Well, I don't think it's a thing because like they're still gonna get, I don't know, they're still getting lots of shows. They're still gonna get, maybe they don't get a pay-per-view this year. I'm sure they will get a pay-per-view next year because for a while Chicago got fucking everything. So I don't
Yeah.
feel sorry that they need to. And look, here's my thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I understand why it's a little bit of a story, but I don't really think it's a big of a deal. And personally, as long as I am getting my pay-per-view in Texas in July, fucking Full Gear can be on Mars. I don't care.
I'm still pissed that they haven't done a pay-per-view in Boston yet. It's like we're probably the most visited site they go to that has never had a pay-per-view. Because like
Uh,
they up until this year anyway, they've done one at least one every year in Chicago. Um, and I mean they hit LA a bunch of times. I don't know where else they really go to a lot, but like they go to Boston usually, or at least this area multiple times a year. And but we've never gotten a pay-per-view.
well, Philadelphia got one this year. Maybe Dynasty 2026 will be in Boston.
Maybe World's End will be here
Hey, there you go. That'd be cool.
or Full Gear because I can't not go to Full Gear apparently. They keep booking Full Gear close enough to me where I'm like, let's just go to Full Gear.
But what if they put it on Mars?
I don't live near Mars.
Oh, so you wouldn't go?
I would probably not be able to make it. Even if I got a press pass, I
Not
probably
not
wouldn't be
even
able to
if you
make it
got
to Mars.
not even if you got press credentials.
I didn't go to Philly when I had press credentials, so I mean,
You were going to though. Didn't you have like car trouble?
I had car troubles. Plus, it's like I I ended up actually being happy I didn't go because like that was the show that just pissed me off and like why I stopped watching AEW for the most part. Like I'm sorry, I'm still sick and tired of this fucking Moxley bullshit. And I really have no desire to like I don't think I've ever watched a single Anarchy in the Arena match, and I don't plan on breaking that rule this weekend. Um and yeah, that that's where I
What
am right now.
about what about when you get to the 2020s in your book series? Then you'll have to watch them.
Not until 2022. I
Yeah,
like
and then
Stadium
there's
Stampede. I don't know if I don't know if they hold up, but I like Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
Which I thought when they did the one at Wembley Stadium the first year that they missed a huge opportunity because like weren't the Hardy Boys in that?
No, I don't think so.
Weren't? Oh, why
It
did I
was,
think?
hold on.
Because I had an idea that I like in my head now revolves around the Hardy Boys, but I guess they could have done it somewhat
Uh,
with something else. But I'm like,
the one
my
in,
idea for like, the one at All Out 2022 in or 2023, I guess, in Wembley.
yeah,
Or all in 2023, excuse me.
that was Moxley, Claudio, Yuta, Santana, and Ortiz against Orange Cassidy, Trip Beretta, Chuck Taylor, Eddie Kingston, and Penta.
Okay, so I don't know how this idea came about in my head, but somehow it made sense. Somehow a couple people would fight backstage and somehow become magically transported into Daly's place. And
That's
I don't even know how that came up in my head, but I just remember that I had that idea and was sad that nobody did it. But I'm like, nobody on
I
either team magically transports anywhere.
I would fire
I
you if you pitched that idea.
You'd fire me for my own podcast.
If I was the booker and you came to me with that idea, yeah,
Bro, you don't understand, bro. It's about wrestling, bro.
fuck it, fuck 'em.
Yep. All right. So that's hey, we only went an hour 23 minutes, but I think it's time to call it quits. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can go home.
All right, let's take it home. And apparently, it's going to be the last show of the week because I don't think we're going to have time to do an FNSS this week. If we do, check it out Friday night at 8 o'clock ish. If not, hey, it's a spot show. It's going to be booked when we have time to. So at the end of the day, I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.